Hi and welcome back to my tatty little studio up here in North Wales. Right, last night I did this. It was loosely based on a Roland Hillian, and I just went straight in and painted it. I did a very rough sketch and then went in very quick, and it took me half an hour. I quite like the style of it, but I wasn't very happy with the composition, so I've cropped it down to there. When I put the final mount on it, I'll take some of the bottom off as well. That happened because I didn't plan what I was doing. So what I've done tonight, working on the same or similar type of composition, this is made up, but it's based on lots and lots of different photographs I've taken and walks I've been on the Llyn Peninsula, and it's basically a low horizon with sea off in the distance and a field, clump of trees and bushy bits over here, headland, and a path or road leading down to a bay. That was the original idea. I faffed around with some graphite, water-soluble graphite, to try and get the balance. Now hopefully this will work a bit better. Lots of clouds on that side, darks down here. Basically the bottom of there will be the darkest bit. Tree might not be that high. A line of foliage, well not foliage, bushy things, clumps there, the path disappearing down, some hints of something going down towards there, and that's all I want in it. Headland miles away, headland miles away, and it's the same. It's a basic sort of composition that Hillier used a lot. One of the things I did yesterday was I kept the horizon too high, so today I'm going to drop it so I squeeze an awful lot into the foreground, hopefully, and that I think will be about where I have my horizon, maybe tiny bit higher. And yes, I'm cheating, I'm using a set square, but it's the sea. There's that. I'm going to put a little bit of a headland coming up there, a little bit of a headland coming down there, different shape. Not going to be able to see much of it. I want water coming across here. We won't see all of that. My little road path coming along there somewhere. Not going to have a fence or anything here. I'm not going to draw much in, but this is where the main stuff is going to be happening there. I've also, I should have mentioned before, taped off so that it's slightly taller than usual. It's going to be about 13 by 10 as opposed to 14 by 10 inches. Okay, so that's where I am now. Incidentally, if ever you see any of these things on Tinterweb or in second-hand places, get them. They're Charisma water-soluble graphite pencils. You can't buy them anymore, they don't make them. They cost an absolute arm and a leg if you're going to get them. They're much better. Derwent make them, but they're not anywhere near as good. I'm going to just... The thing with them is, once you do that, you can paint over them, and all that happens is that instead of having a pencil line which bleeds graphite into your colours, you end up with a grey bit of paper. Now I'm just going to make sure that that is absolutely dry before I start painting over it. So that's the end of part one. Talk amongst yourselves. There we go, a few minutes further on, that is bone dry, and to show you what I mean, I've got a pencil drawing, and that is a wet brush, jam jar full of water, wet brush, nothing happens. So it's good stuff. If you do that with Derwent ones, they don't dry quite so hard. I don't know why, but they don't. So that will stay there and give me a little bit of guide to my tones. I'm going to be using my usual big brushes. These ones that I like, ones I used last night. I've cleaned my palette so as you can see the colours I'm using. I was trying to find a way of tacking it up by the side so you could see the mixes, but it didn't work. Okay, this palette has got more than I'll ever... No, I will use all of them at some times, but basically the ones I use all the time are the ones down here, and the rest are for other stuff. But landscapes are these here, these 12, and I won't use them all at all. But I've got lemon yellow there. Occasionally I'll put in some cadmium from up there, just to give it a bit of oomph. Then I've got raw sienna, burnt umber, light red, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, burnt umber, hooker's green, a colour called Charles Evans Sand, which I use quite a lot actually. Charlie invented it, and you can only get it from him. It's made by Dale Rowney, but for Charles Evans, and that is Payne's Grey. Up there, I rarely use these. That is something or other gold. That's cobalt blue, which I use occasionally. That's sap green, which I used occasionally. Intense blue, cerulean blue, that's a purple, I think that's sepia. That's Pyrrole red, that's Pyrrole orange. That is cadmium yellow light, I think. That's Aurelian. I never know how to say that. And that is cadmium yellow. Those ones across there are professional. These, apart from that, are all Cotman, because I use a lot of paint. Right, okay, let's have a go. First thing I'm going to do is wash in a sky wash. Big brush. Grab a towel. Now I'm going for hopefully half an hour or so. I don't want any detail in this. But the good thing is I can put my sky wash completely over that penciled in stuff and it's not picking it up at all. Paper I'm using is Saunders Waterford, £140. I do find anyone who's watched my channel a lot, I do find that the thing it's worth spending money on is paper. If you use cheap paper, you can't do a lot with it. You can hammer this, you can pull stuff out, put stuff in, move paint around all day. I'm putting more painting at the more water at the edges, because for some reason the edges tend to dry quicker than the middle. Clean up my bottom. Now I wish I could be like Charlie Evans and get me palette. His palette is identical to this underneath all the crap that he's got all over it, and yet he mixes the cleanest, purest colours you've ever seen. Right, what am I going to do? Ultramarine. Lots of ultramarine into my ultramarine with clean water. Some burnt umber, and that gives me that grey. That wasn't an earthquake, I just nudged the tripod. Right, now then. Take that off. Before I go in with that, I'm going to mix up some yellow ochre. Tiny touch of light red. Too much light red. Some more yellow ochre. Lots and lots of water. Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll have to remember to move that around. That's an accident. It may be a happy accident, it may not. So there we've got just a little hint of warmth in that sky. And now I'm going to use the big cloudy colour. Remember, you can go bonkers with these clouds because they dry so much lighter. Ron Ranson, who was also a great fan of Roland Hillier, used to say that you need to scare yourself when you put your sky in. Okay, that's that. There we go, we've got some sort of cloudy bits. Get rid of the wet edge at the bottom. Right, now back to my brush. Over there I want some Peely Wallia clouds. I'm adding more water to this. That's quite dry, so give it a little spritz. And what I'm going to do, just in that central bit there, I'm going to dampen that quite a lot. And I'm going to use, because I've just reminded myself I've got it, I'm going to use a touch of cerulean blue. Now cerulean is very, very strong. It stains and it tends to granulate, so you don't need much of it in a picture, but what I want is just a little bit of summer blue sky peeping into that. Just trying to keep track of the white clouds around the edges. Okay, we've got a big sky. I'll just let it dry. It's either worked or it hasn't. Okay, let's clean out this area under here. Where I took my eye off the running down paint. Hopefully that will sort itself out into a little splodge. I'll keep my eye on it though. It'll dry lighter. See, I've done exactly what Ron said, scared myself with the sky. I was having a little ponder the other day and I realised why watercolours are so good for doing skies. If you think about it, it's because skies are water. Apart from the blue bits, they're water or ice. So really, all you're doing with watercolour is making a sky out of sky. Okay, now that's the time-consuming bit. Now, my little square brush, I want almost solid headlands. They need to be grey, so I'm going to use that colour as a base, or brown. Touch. I'll use that ultramarine that jumped into the yellow ochre, so I took it out. I've got yellow ochre and ultramarine blue, and they make that greeny grey colour. Okay, now still damp, so it is bleeding a little bit, but I don't mind because it's a long way away. More blue on the other side. Putting more blue into it. Got that. Now I'm going to leave that lot to dry. And I'm also going to wash that yellow off my thumb. Right, there we go. I'm back. I've been downstairs, made a cup of coffee, drunk some of it. That is bone dry. And I don't know if you can see, but it's an awful lot lighter than it was. And so is the sky. In fact, I might have to darken that up a bit. I'll have a think when I've got everything else in. I might need to put some more dark in that corner. But I'll wait till I've got this big thing in here first. Okay, what I'm going to do next is the foreground. If I can find my brush, there it is. Okay, now foreground, I don't want to do much in. It's a field on a headland, but it's not bright green. Yellow ochre. Most of the stuff I've done is in earth colours. So we've got yellow ochre, touch of hooker's green. I got the idea of using hooker's green from Charles Evans because a lot of purists, which I used to be, say you don't ever need to buy a green because you can always mix them. It's very true, but hooker's green was made for a guy called Mr. Hooker back in the 1800s, and he was a botanical painter who illustrated botanical illustrations. That's what he did, and he needed to get all the different greens of all the plants in all the world the right colour, and so he invented this sort of neutral green that you can add all sorts of yellows and blues to get any other colour green you want. And I think it works. That's what it's for. So I don't always use it very often. I'll just mix. You can make greens all sorts of ways, but this green I've made now is a nice disappearing. Did you see it? Disappearing sort of green. And I've got yellow all over myself again. Right, okay. A little bit more ochre as it comes further forward. Make it stronger and warmer. Might be a little bit too strong. Put some light into that by just taking some of the paint out, because I did it too strong. All I'm doing is putting clean water on top of it and then sucking the colour out with a thirsty brush. There, it doesn't take over as much as it did before. I've left some hard edges there, which I can soften up when I put the grassy bits in. All I'm doing now is putting some darker bits in just to give some definition to this green wash. What I'm putting in now is just touches of light red and yellow ochre into the green. What I'm going to do next is the path, and that is basically light red and raw umber. I want it stronger as it comes in. Pull some of that out just to get some light going across it. Path done. Actually pull a little bit more out there. I'll reinforce that far edge after. Now, I seem to have got some mank in there. That must have happened while I was downstairs making cups of coffee. Right, now, my nice little soft square brush. I'm going to mix some of that cerulean and into that I'm going to put, let me see what that is. Not sure what that colour is. It's sepia. So I don't want that. Put a tiny touch of the umber, the raw umber. Far too much. Now there's a little bit of umber on there anyway, so if I put the cerulean into it, we might get a CE colour. And I want loads of water in there as well. And see, I thought you were watching then, see how that's granulating. Okay, now where I've got to be very careful. Right, let that dry. I know I said let it dry, but it was a bit dark along there. Okay, see how that dries now. I'm going to let it dry. Right, quite a bit of time's gone past. This is dry. Been up and downstairs a couple of times, fussed the dogs. I really don't like this foreground colour. What I'm going to do, I've been sitting here thinking, as well as going out with dogs and stuff. It's too dark and dull, and it just hasn't worked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some puddles out. I'm going to take some bits right back to the paper and try and recreate that in some puddly bits. Whether it'll work or not, I don't know. But I had a really lovely comment on one of my videos the other day where somebody says you tell it like it is, and I hope I do. I never know what's going to happen. I never practice my paintings before I start, so I know exactly what's going to happen. I just sit down and paint. And usually I can pull something out at the end. So I'm imagining that that rain has gone out and it's left a soggy field behind it. I'm going to really flood this. This is where I come back to what I was saying about good paper. You can, if this was cheap watercolour paper from the works or somewhere, you couldn't do this. You'd take the top layer off. Incidentally, this isn't a half-hour video. See, it worked there. Right now, let's see how much I can actually pull out. Incidentally, I don't advise you doing this on purpose to all your paintings. Right, that gives me a slightly better thing to work with. I'm not very good at these spontaneous brushstroke things. I'm better at fiddling, truth be known, but I don't want to be a fiddler. I want to be a spontaneous painter. Right, fingers in your ears. I am going to use the hairdryer. That's not watching paint dry, that's watching me dry paint. Okay, I'm going to use, if I can find it, my big number 20. That is my sea colour. Into that I'm going to put the cloud colour, or the sky colour, ultramarine, umber. Far too dark. I'm not having a very successful evening this evening. Okay. Use the smaller one, just a damp brush. Okay, now back to the big brush. That is lemon yellow and ultramarine. Touch of the hookers. and that is quite a grassy green. Now, big pointy brush. Good grief. That is, although it's contrived, it's a lot fresher. Right, to me, that looks a little bit more interesting. Still a bit busy, but I'll faff around with it later. I've got some colours going into it. Now, I need to sort out that big tree thing there. I might drag some white gouache into that when I'm finished. Okay, now dark. I'm starting off with Payne's Grey. Into the Payne's Grey, warm it up with some alizarin and some raw umber. Just gonna dry that. I'll turn it off, let the foreground dry a bit. There we go, that's dry now, and I want to do sort of wet over dry trees here. I'm using my squirrel mop. Sorry, I've stopped talking, I'm thinking. I'm just trying to break up this area here. That's too thick and harsh. Right, now we're nearly there. Go in with the rigger. With my really dark colour there, which was the ultramarine alizarin and Payne's grey. Actually too much alizarin, so I'll put some green in it. Still not happy with this foreground. What I'm going to do is cheat. May kill it stone dead and it may not, okay? So it's a gamble. The two most opaque light colours on my palette are the Charles Evans Sand. I'm not sure how he makes it, but I think it's almost gouache. It's very, very thick, light, versatile paint. And that I'm going to mix up with yellow ochre very, very thickly, and lemon yellow, and that gives me a very thick, very light colour. And what I'm going to try and do is just drag some of that over the foreground. because the next stage, if this doesn't work, is to go over it in gouache, but I don't want to do that. I'm adding some pure lemon yellow straight out the tube in blobs here and there. Softening some of those lumps. A bit of luck. Some of that yellow might look like gorse bushes. That's looking better. Okay, in the beginning, in the foreground. I want some dark. I'm putting raw umber and ultramarine into that thick paint and some green, and just right, nearly there. All I want to do now, no, that I don't like. Get my big mop. That's my really dark blue alizarin. Touch of the brown, more alizarin. And more water. by putting stronger colour into the watery colour, hopefully that should bleed out and not end up with cauliflowers. You get cauliflowers there. Just spreading this cloud around. Now that looks like a horrible purple blob on the screen. I don't know what it'll look like on the big screen, but it doesn't look too bad at all in real life. Okay, just one little thing to do now. That's scrub the gouache. Actually, tomorrow I think I'll do a gouache painting. I'm not really having a lot of luck with these, am I? So, but no, I've done a few recently. This is my messy gouache palette. Just if you don't have gouache, you can always use white acrylic. I might put a little bit of sheen on the sea. Right, I'm going to leave that. I'll dry it with the hairdryer because it's late and I'm tired. I'm getting a bit naggy with it. So I'll dry it off, take the tape off and show it to you when it's finished. Right, it's dry and this cloud hasn't come out too badly. There's some hard edges at the bottom which are a bit ugly, so I'm just softening them up with clean water. Keeping the brush clean, I'm just wiping it on a tissue. Just damp, it doesn't need to be wet. Just enough to soften the edge without taking too much off. I think that'll do. I'm too tired to do any more. Started off being a half-hour thing, and it's been hours. It's 11:30 at night and I'm tired, so this may never see the light of day, but we'll see what it looks like with a tidy edge. Always pull your tape off away from your picture. That way, if it does pull the top layer of your paper off, it won't pull the picture off as well. It's amazing the difference it makes just having a tidy edge, isn't it? So there's been a lot of hard work on that, but my dad always used to say, if it's not worth working on, it's not worth doing. I just want to put some scribbles into this field with the rigger. Just some darks. To break it up a little bit. Just some blue into that now to get some distance. I'll put some more branchy bits. Because I put this paint on so thickly in the foreground, I can get texture just by dragging over it. Rid of that horrible green colour by covering up a lot of it. There, that'll do. Some tweets coming in away. No, just leave it. There's enough going on already. Right, there we go. A picture. I'll see what I think of it tomorrow, but we've actually got, it looks better than I thought. See if that mount fits it. Not quite, it's a bit big. but the idea is there. We've got the low horizon, big cloud. Let's zoom in a bit. I'll take that off, it looks better without. Right, see, that's my favourite bit there. And the water's a bit convincing. With the gouache on it, it really helps it along. So there you go. That's tonight's picture. A very, very long, quick painting.